You've got lots of real estate questions. Should I downsize? What improvements do I need to make before I sell? What will Connecticut's real estate market be like in 6 months? It's time for The Real Estate Show with Pat Civitella. He's got your answers. Call 203-333-9422. Now, here's your host, Pat Civitella.
All right. Hello to everyone, and good evening, and thanks for tuning in to The Real Estate Show with me, your host, Pat Civitella, with over 35 years' experience in the real estate investing game. This show is about creating long-term wealth through real estate investing and producing passive and residual income in the real estate business. I am going to share with you the knowledge and offer my guidance, inside information that most people are not aware of. Also, the show will show you how to produce a secondary or primary income through the real estate investing. And in this show, I'm going to cover also doing some home improvements and tips on how to increase the value and the best return of your money into home improvements or property improvements. My goal with the show is to get more people started in real estate investing with the knowledge and hands-on experience that I have developed over the last 35 years. I want to offer it to my audience. So if you have any questions, concerns about real estate in general or any types of home improvements or property improvements, questions on how to get the best increase of value on improvements, please call me or text me directly at 203-516-0088. Again, that's 203-516-0088. Or you can email me at any time at patcivitella@gmail.com. And that's PATCIVITELLA@gmail.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, now to continue on the show, we're gonna discuss also some key phrases that I've been using for the last 35 years that I've picked up over the time. And one of my favorite sayings is, always buy assets, don't buy liabilities. And I'll get into that a little more. And then always you want to increase your mailbox money. And people always say, well, what's mailbox money? Well, mailbox money is money that comes in your mailbox every month in and month out, through the real estate investing business. So we're going to continue with the show. First, I wanted to say, if you're interested in buying or selling any property, please call my office at 203-736-2484, and one of our associates will be happy to help you. Also, in the future shows, we'll have some of my students, so to speak, and interview them on multifamily investing journey that they've had through the last many years. I'll have probably 2 or 3 students or mentoree. I'm not sure what the correct word would be. Is it mentoree, Rich? Someone I mentor? Yeah. Mentoree? Okay. And then also I'm going to have on future shows, the plan is to have individual experts. As a matter of fact, next week's show, my plan is to have a mortgage broker that I've known for many years. Going to bring him in to ask questions on different mortgages, current mortgage rates, and how he sees the market and what's going on in that industry. So you're able to, and if you have any questions, you can call in on that also. So for starters, how I got started in this journey, in this business, and started at a young age through playing board game, and one of the board games that was my favorite was the game of Monopoly. Really learned that game really quick. Loved that game, and I became so good at it that my sister and my cousins and all of our neighborhood kids didn't want to play that game with me anymore because I won probably 9 out of 10 times that we always played. But that's how I got really, really interested in this business, and then I started the actual game of Monopoly at the age of 25. And the big difference from playing the game to real life real estate is that like the game, you don't have to wait till somebody lands on it. Somebody lands on my property every first of the month, so that increases my mailbox money. Rich is laughing back there. So I'm going to go for starters. I'm just going to go back to the first. Let's see here. What you need. What you need to get started in this journey. First, you need to take stock of yourself to get involved in this business. What do I mean by that? First, you should make a list of all your strengths, such as not maybe, but this is number one. Is first you have to check how your credit is. That's your most important thing in this business, is having good credit and keeping your credit in good standing. Because if you want to continue in this business and you want to continue building this business, you have to continue and always make sure your credit is A-okay or 100% or is the highest you can get it. And the best score in this business is always to be at a minimum of 700. I always tell everybody to be between 720 and 750 on your FICO. And that way there, when you want to borrow money, you will have no problem. And, I shouldn't say no problem, but that is the first thing that they look at is your credit. And if you're not in the 700s, it's you're gonna have to pay a higher rate. Doesn't mean you can't get the deal done or you can't do it, but the name of the game is you want to pay the lowest in fees and expenses, and the cost of money is one of the biggest expense, especially today's market and today's interest rates. So I can't stress that highly enough, is always keep your credit in good standing, keep it in the high 700s, 720 to 750 is the key. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is you have to make a decision on what type of property you're interested in purchasing, or what type of real estate asset class you want to invest in. This show and what I promote is multifamily or commercial. Multifamily is just a great vehicle to produce residual and passive income, because you buy one and you can keep buying, more and more as you go along. Obviously, you're going to need money. There's no such thing as buying property with no money. I mean, there's deals. There's deals with maybe no money down, but those are few and far between. And I've been doing this for 35 years, and there's not been one property that I can remember or ever purchased with zero money. It always costs something. I mean, a lot of people think like no money down means is not getting a mortgage. And I've done those deals. I've done deals with seller financing, and we could get into a little discussion on that. What seller financing or third-party financing means is I've purchased properties, and I've purchased them, and I still continue to purchase properties with seller financing. What that means is you put down a deposit or whatever you agree to with the seller, and if the seller agrees to carry back the mortgage instead of going to a bank and going through that channel and going through all that paperwork and jumping through all those hoops, I've done deals, throughout the years, no problem with just buying directly from the homeowner. I've done all kinds of deals like that, and I did one just in the last, I think 7 or 8 years ago, a property that I purchased here in Milford that I had the seller finance it because they wanted to sell it, and it was a commercial property. And commercial properties are sometimes a little more difficult to do as far as getting financing, because you need a lot more money down on a commercial property. The average is 20. Today it's probably 25, maybe sometimes 30%. So those are a little bit harder deals to do, but there's all types of deals out there. And what people don't understand in this business or in this game of real estate is everything is negotiable. Okay? Everything is negotiable. The price is negotiable. The terms are negotiable. I mean, everything could be negotiated. It could be, done whatever the buyer and the seller agrees to do. That's the other beauty of this business. You don't have to constantly or, rely on the bank or a mortgage company to get your mortgage. Sometimes, I've done plenty of deals just directly with the seller. And they've always worked out well for both parties, as long as you agree to the terms and it's good. And that works in your favor too as an investor, because when you're doing deals without the mortgage company or the banks, that credit or those mortgages, those private mortgages, they don't show up on your credit report, and people don't understand that. So if they don't show up on your credit, that. Or shows as a liability, that gives you the ability to borrow more money from the banks or FHA or the traditional method, and so there's all types of financing and finding ways to make a deal work. So the next step to get started in this business is you have to make a list of your abilities. And one of the things I've put down on my list is, make a list of if you're handy or how to make repairs, basic stuff like, switching them, fixing a light switch, whatever, doing sheetrock, doing a little bit of carpentry work. Make a list of if you think you're handy in doing that stuff. And it doesn't mean that you have to have that criteria in order to get started in this business, but it is a big benefit if you could do a lot of basic repairs yourself, or if you're willing to learn, because today's technology with YouTube, I mean, God, I wish YouTube was around when I got started in the mid 80s and late 80s. I mean, now you could pretty much YouTube anything you want. Like, so if you want to do a repair on your carpet or a repair on a carpentry, a piece of trim around your door, I mean, you could YouTube anything, and it's going to show you step by step on how to do it. So you want to, if you have the ability to learn, the old saying, if there's a will, there's a way. I mean, but today it's like an easy way because you just go to YouTube, right, Rich? I mean, you could pretty much find anything. So that's on the list also. If you can make repairs or are willing to learn how to do stuff. I mean, the first property that I did in 1988, excuse me, which, again, I still own that property today in downtown Shelton. Me and my dad, and rest his soul, I wish he was still around today, and I can't believe it's already 10 years. But anyways, that property was 4 units, 4 apartments. They were all 2 bedrooms, and a storefront. It was an old storefront with, at the time, it was some type of a thrift store or a thrift shop when we bought it. But me and my dad remodeled that whole building. It probably took us a good 6 months, maybe a year to redo it because, let me back up on that. There was, out of the 4 apartments, 2 apartments were vacant and 2 were occupied. So the first order of business was to take the 2 empty apartments, renovate them, and get them rented. So you get the cash flow. And so we started that procedure or that property, and we started with the empty apartments and started renovating them. See what it needed and what it didn't need. And I'm going to take a little quick break in about 10 seconds, and I'm going to be back in a couple minutes.
Got real estate questions? Call 203-333-9422 and ask Uncle Pat.
So continuing on about the things you need to get started, and we were talking about being able to do repairs, and I want to expand on that, where if you can do a lot of the sweat equities and value add to a property, it's going to be well worth your time and effort into this. As I was explaining before, on that first property, It was 4 units, 4 2-bedroom units, and a storefront. And 2 of the apartments were rented, and 2 were vacant. So the first order of business was to get the vacant ones renovated and do whatever was necessary to make them nice and clean and neat and nice apartments. And if I remember correctly, on that first building, it wasn't much, it was a lot of just cosmetic stuff, a little bit of carpentry here and there, but mostly paint, flooring. We might have changed a couple of the appliances, but I remember it wasn't a lot to do to get them up and running. So we did those 2 apartments right away, probably within 30 days or so. Now, I also want to make another point. Like, I did this for the first 20 to 25 years in real estate, that I did this all part-time. I also owned my own business for the last 35 years also. So I always did this part-time. So people say, well, I don't have the time, this, that, and the other. Well, I did all of this working 50 to 60 hours in a regular business, running a regular business, and then I would do the real estate part-time or after hours. There's another old saying that I believe strongly in is you make a living from 9 to 5, but you make a lifestyle from 5 to midnight, which a lot of people don't understand that. 9 to 5, yeah, you're just going to make enough to get by, but from 5 to midnight is where you make your money. So we renovated those 2 apartments. We got them up and running. And at the time, those 2 apartments were renting. We were probably below market. They were like $450 for a 2-bedroom, which was ridiculously low when you think about it now. But the going rate was probably maybe $600. But my goal was to get the building stabilized and fully rented. And my philosophy always was and still is that I always like to be just a little bit below market as far as the rental prices, because I don't like to have the turnover of properties, especially if you have a good tenant and everything is going good and everything. So that's always been my philosophy, still is today. I still go a little bit below market, maybe 5 or 10% below market. And I like to keep the tenants long term. But anyways, going back to the sweat equity on the property, we did the 2 apartments. So now we had 4 apartments fully occupied. The store was occupied, but I think they moved out like probably 4 or 5 months after I purchased the property. Again, we renovated that property, mostly again cosmetic. I remember doing that subfloor in that commercial space. It was probably about 1,500 square feet, and I remember doing the subfloor, which is what that means is putting down plywood. You have to put down plywood or some type of subfloor before you put your finished product on top of it. And I remember doing probably about, I don't know, whatever 1,500 square feet. I think it was probably about 50 or 60 sheets of 4x8 half-inch plywood, putting that down, and it took me probably a good 2 or 3 days part-time just putting that all down with the screws and everything, and doing that all by myself. And but it was rewarding, and it's satisfying too also after you do that type of work and you enjoy it, and then you see your finished product. I always enjoyed that about this business too, that everybody sees the bad thing, but then you have to have a little bit of foresight in this business too. A lot of people can't understand or don't have that. Is I could look at a property. I've bought properties that I've had my family members. My sister, she came to look at a property that I bought one time, and she says, "Oh, you got to knock that down." I go, "Knock it down?" I go, "Never." I says, "It just needs a good bath," like I always say. That comes from my car business days too. It needs a good bath. But anyways, that property, it just needed a real good clean out. It was a little bit of a hoarder situation in that property, but I wish through the years I had taken pictures of all these befores and after, because people that came by, or even my sister that came by afterwards, they said, they couldn't believe it's the same house or the same property. It's just, if the property has good, the old saying, if it's got good bones, you just start, you start where you are and just get it going and get it repaired. But again, if you have the ability to do some sweat equity, it's going to be a big plus for you in this business, because that's going to pay big dividends that you're going to find. Next thing on the list I have for you is when you're getting involved in this business, make a list. Are you good talking with people? Are you good with negotiating? Do you have any type of those skills? I mean, that can all be learned also, about talking to people, negotiating skills. Again, there's tons of books. Today, besides books, I mean, when I was in the business, all there was books. Books and seminars. That's all I did for 20 years or so. But nowadays, you got YouTube, and then that's one of my favorites nowadays. I'm a YouTube fanatic. Seems like I don't even watch regular TV. I don't think I've watched regular TV. It's got to be a good 3 or 4 years maybe. And people always ask me, like, what do you watch? Or do you watching this series? You watching that series? I says, no. I says, the only thing I'm watching is YouTube. And I go, well, what are you watching on that? I go, well, the people that I like, the stuff that interests me. So to develop the talking to people or negotiating, that's a good skill to get. I don't know. You might put on your list you're good with financing or good with selling. If you have that type of skill, that's also going to be very good for you in this business. Also, to be able to get financing, if you have connections, or you got to learn to talk to people. You got to learn to talk to mortgage brokers, bankers, insurance people. I mean, the list goes on and on. You also have your handyman, your electrician, your plumbers, all types of people that you're going to need in this business. So make that list. Start making a list of those type of people. Also, you got to get good with networking with people. And you have to build. And I tell this to people all the time. You have to build a team. This business is a team sport, because there is no way, no how, you're going to do this business by yourself. You're going to rely on attorneys. You're going to rely on accountants. You're going to rely on bankers. You're going to rely on tradespeople, HVAC guys, plumbers, electricians, carpenters. So you have to build a real good team. And what that means is you have to make a list of those people, and you also have to have, especially for the tradespeople, like the HVAC, plumbers, electricians, you got to have backups, and because especially today, I mean, the tradespeople, there are the hardest people to get, because number one, a lot of people are not going into that business, or they're not going into the trades. I don't know why it's declined in the last 30 years, but it's just not like it used to be. Nowadays it's very, very difficult to find a tradesperson that's not busy. And I know a lot of them aren't even taking new customers on, because so you have to develop that list and develop that contact. And while we're on that subject, a good way to build all your team members is the number one key, and here it is that people don't realize, and it's so simple, is when you hire these people and they do the job, especially the tradespeople, I pay them either the same day or the next day. I don't make them wait for their payment. You can ask anybody that's done work for us or work for me. I pay them either on the spot or the next day, because you know why? Because I want those people to be responsive when I call them, especially if I have an emergency. They're going to say, oh, it's Pat Civitella. I'll be right there. And that's what you might pay a little extra if you have good people, but it's well worth it in the long run. I mean, we've had situations, and it seems like, speaking about situations or problems, is they always happen in the middle of the night, on a weekend, on a holiday weekend, and it's 30 below zero. And for some reason, it never fails. I mean, I always remember it's always been at nighttime, on the weekend, and most of the times on a holiday. I mean, I remember one time there was a property we have in Woodbury. It was a weekend night. I forgot what holiday it was. Pouring rain, buckets. I mean, and the tenant calls and says, "Oh, we got water coming in all over the place. It's coming down in buckets." I says, "Holy mackerel!" I says, at the time, for water leaks, that's a whole different story. You're not who are you going to call? There's not a water leak doctor or somebody that's going to fix something that's leaking. And it's hard to explain to tenants that not that there's nothing you can do, but I went out in the middle of the night. I think it was 1:00 in the morning. I went out just to go out there just to keep them happy, and I brought some buckets or some cans just to until we get over with the storm. Because obviously you can't do anything when it's raining, but you can try to prevent any damage or appease them and make them happy because you want to be responsive to your tenants because these are the people that are going to help you grow and they're going to help you make money on the property, and you want to keep the tenants happy. It's just like a customer, any type of relationship like that. But so again, you have to have a good team of people that you can rely on, and the number one key to keep these people on your list and to be responsive when you need them is pay them immediately. If you could pay them that same day, pay them. Obviously within reason. Like if you have to check the work, now that we're busier, we got a lot of projects going on. Sometimes we can't stop what we're doing and say, let me go check to see if it was done right or done correctly. So within reason, pay the people as soon as possible, especially the tradespeople, even the attorneys, everybody else, the tax attorney and whatever, or the accountant, pay them immediately because you want them to pick up the phone when you call them. Now, how much time, Rich? Okay. So I'm gonna go a little deeper on this subject on the next show, but the number one thing is pay the people, and you'll keep them happy and you'll keep your business going. I want to thank our sponsor for this show, which is 1-800-MR-JUNKER. Again, it's 1-800-MR-JUNKER. They make junk removal made easy. Call them at 1-800-675-8653. Mention my name, Pat Civitella, here on WICC, and you'll get 10% off your first job. And, again, they'll make junk removal made easy for you. Thank you, and have a good night.